YouTube. So we did a thing on the Haiti Trans Am. Took the motor out of it, as you'll see here. And then there's the motor on the ground. And then it did have a bad spot in that cylinder. But I sold the intake to the oil pan with the ignition system, distributor, coil, MSD6AL2 programmable. I sold that to a guy I know, and I guess he's going to re-sleeve it and bore it and put new pistons in it, and then have the heads milled. It should be able to go back together. I mean, re-sleeved and bored, probably $500–600. New pistons, $500–600. Was that $1,200? Mill the heads, what is that, about $300 or so? $1,500. I added all that up, and if it was all new, it would have been about $7,500. I sold it for a few thousand. But then we took the carburetor hat, and the regulator, and we traded it for this 6.0. Just want to toss in a shout out to my buddy TJ Boyd for hooking us up with this 6.0. And he's got a YouTube channel too, if y'all want to check it out. He does a lot of the same stuff we do, mess with the cars, do bracket racing, and try some no prep from time to time. With some 243 heads laying over there. And I'm just going to take it apart and check the ring gap and see where the ring gap's at. A lot of people say don't even open them, just send them, but we're going to take it apart and see what it looks like, see what the bearings look like, the cam bearings, see what the ring gap is, etc. I already took that bolt out, and that's a pain in the butt. I had that big breaker bar, and I wedged another bar back there on the flex plate. But yeah, let's take it apart and see what we got here. It's supposed to have a sloppy stage 2 cam in it. Probably starting out, we'll run the sloppy stage 2 cam and the truck intake with a stock truck throttle body and see how that goes at first. Alright, got her took apart a little bit. Those cam bearings look pretty rough. Turn the light on. There we go. Yeah, those look rough. I don't know if it'd be a good idea to roll those or not. Yeah, I think we're gonna have to do cam bearings. But it's number 1. And took a 5.3 apart the other day, and it had that coloration in it too. But yeah, we're gonna replace the bearings. We're just gonna replace the bearings. We're not gonna do anything special, but crank looks good. I think we'll do all new bearings. We gap the rings, that's what we're going to check next. See what the ring gap is. Now in this way I take the piston rings off, get them up there, and kind of just try to do it with one hand. And just like that. Now sometimes there's a top and bottom on these, like which way they face, up or down. So make sure you separate these. See, there's piston 1 and that's up, and that's ring 1, that's up, and that's ring 2 and that's up. We'll have to probably clean the grooves out a little. But let's see what the ring gap is. Yeah, see, these rings are marked. That's up. See the dot? The dot always goes up. But there's a top ring and a middle ring, so don't get those mixed up. Alright, going to carefully set the ring in there like so. And we're going to take this piston and push it down even, which it'll hit the oil ring and make it even. Now we're going to measure that gap right there. I already tell by looking at it that's too tight. So I did 0.008 times the bore size, which is 4 inches. And it's right at 20 thousandths is what I got. That was the biggest one I could fit in there. Oh, wrong side. glare. There we go. 20 thousandths. Yeah, it's the biggest one I could get in there. So let's check the bottom ring. See what it's like. When you pull those out of there, try to lift up on them evenly. See, I'm actually pulling on each side right here. Ta-da. Alright, and that one's 17 thousandths. So yeah, we need to open those up quite a bit. But I'm gonna hone the cylinders first. I'm gonna take like a 280 grit and ball hone, just go 1, 2, 3, 4, spinning forward and then backwards 1, spinning backwards 1, 2, 3, 4. Don't stop while you're in the cylinder. Just keep a steady speed, just to put some cross hatchings in it. Pretty smooth, but we'll reuse those rings. We are going to get new bearings just because I don't like how they're discolored on the end like that. And then we're going to get new cam bearings. Yes. Oh, and that big dimple. Gen 4 rods. Yes. And I'm just using a screwdriver to mark these. Just the edge of a screwdriver. Now I'm making some progress. Taking the main caps out. And the main caps are numbered. You don't want to get them out of order. You don't want to get any of this out of order. You want to put the rod caps back on how they go with the right rod. Those are crack cap rods so they won't line up. If you get them mixed up, they'll not line up where they're cracked. But even if they weren't crack cap rods, you still want to try to keep everything together the exact way it come off. And these main caps are kind of hard to get out. I've been putting this little pry bar right here. I bent somehow and just kind of going back and forth. I need 2 hands. Make sure not to nick any of that. If you nick the shiny stuff, that's not good. That middle one's rough to get out because it's got the thrust bearing in it. Looks like that right there. But yeah, all these are numbered on this side. 1, 2, 3, 4. And this one's numbered on that side, 5. That's backwards. But the rest of these are 1, 2, 3, 4. Alright, there we go. Had to break out the rubber mallet too. Some of them didn't want to come off, but everything looks good. All the bearings are where they're supposed to be. Nothing looks scarred or bad or anything like that. Let's pull the crank out and see how the bearings look. Those main bearings probably fine. But doing stuff like this, we're just kind of just refreshing it and putting it back together and not having any machine work done. Definitely, if it's got spun bearings, be on the rod or the main, then the crank has to be turned. And then the rod, if it has it on spun bearing on the rod's probably burnt. And if it has a spun bearing on the main, then usually that means you have to get a line hone on the block. But yeah, as long as the bearings are spun, I'm just going to put some bearings in it and throw it back together. Alright, looked at the main bearings and the caps. They all look good. Even on the rods, I don't know why, but they get a funny look right on the edges. See? I don't know what that's about. I don't know what I'm doing. But we're doing it anyway. Now I did my 5.3 the same way. That turned out okay. But yeah, them cam bearings, we're going to replace those. I did my 5.3 the same way. And the cam bearings weren't that bad on the 5.3, but they were pretty bad. But my car had 40 oil pressure, idle, hot, no matter what. And they'd go up to 70, 80 when you revved it up, but now it's about 25, 30 at warm idle now. I don't know what that's all about, but when you're going down the track, it's 70 to 80, so I ain't too worried about it, because 10 pounds of oil pressure at 1,000 idle is fine. Actually, my LT1s were, my Gen 2 LT1, they're good for that for some reason, but they'll get to where hot idle, they'll be 10 pounds. My LT1 was like that forever when it was stock. 10 pounds per 1,000 RPM, supposed to be fine. When you rev it up, my 5.3 that I did on my Camaro, if y'all watch the channel, you've seen that, but if you rev it up to about 2,000, it goes up to 40. And if you rev it up higher, it just keeps going up. But yeah, what we're going to do, we're going to change the bearings, get a muscle car oil pan, and hone the cylinders out, gap the rings, and just throw it right back together. I'm not even going to clean the pistons. Just gap the rings and throw it back together, and then I'm going to take those head studs out. These are the eBay head studs, and one of them is bent, so I've got ARP bolts. I'm going to use the ARP bolts. Well, I've got the 243 heads over there, and then we're going to use I got a truck intake in the cabinet over there. We're just going to use a truck intake and throttle body for now. See what it does. It's got a sloppy stage 2 cam, but it ain't got no markings on it. If I remember correctly, when we did Austin's sloppy stage 2 cam, it was marked on the back. This might be one of those eBay sloppy stage 2 cams, I'm not sure. I measured with calipers here and then here, and minus the difference, then multiplied by 1.7, which I think is the rocker ratio for LS, and it came out to like 580. My calipers aren't exact, they're just cheap ones, and that's about the lift of a sloppy stage 2 cam. So I don't know, it might be just one of the generic ones though, I don't know. But tomorrow we'll take the head studs out of this thing, and we'll hone it out, and we'll start gapping rings. That's always fun, because that's the tedious part. It takes forever. But yeah, that's going to be the new motor for the Trans Am. If y'all got any input, kind of new to messing with these LS motors. I remember before I was telling people, because I thought they were like Gen 1 small block Chevy, Gen 2 small LT1. I thought the bolts, the head bolts, studs, whatever you're using, I thought they went into a water jacket like they did on Gen 1, Gen 2 small block, and they don't. They don't. And I was telling people they did. But like I said, I'm just learning as I go. It's not really a how-to video. It's just to show y'all what we are doing and how it works out for us. And then, you know, 5.3's doing pretty good so far, knock on wood. And I race it a lot. You know, some people say, oh, I race, and then they go 3 or 4 times a year. No, I go bracket racing, try to hit some of the index racing, try the no prep even though I suck at it. But yeah, we race these cars. We try to go, you know, a couple times a month, or I do anyway. Chris tries to come up at least once a month. But once we get this one in there, I'm going to start racing his more to get it better prepared for when he does come up, so everything works right. But yeah, I'm going to end this video here. Tomorrow we'll label this one part 1, part 2 will come out here tomorrow, and we'll hone it out. I got a few hones over there. I forgot what grit you're supposed to use. They're just ball hones. I usually just keep the drill at 1 speed, and I go 1, 2, 3, 4, and then I change the rotation, and then same speed, 1, 2, 3, 4, and you don't want to stop in the cylinder. You know, you want to start with it out of the cylinder and then go in and back and forth, keep going, keep going. It can kind of be tough sometimes because that trigger gets a little happy with you. It'll go too fast and then too slow, and you let off too much, it stops. But yeah, anyway, that's what we're going to do, and then we're going to gap some rings. I got a ring gapper tool, and I actually had Chris's motor. I had the rings gapped in it 036, and I'll be honest with you, some of them I got a little crazy with, and they were 04. I think even one was 042, but they wasn't none of them under 036. I'm 100% sure that motor blowed up because that air where that turbo was hanging right off the header, and where it was right behind the radiator, and where that intake pipe was only a couple of feet long, it was just too hot. I bet it was so hot it was evaporating the fuel before the fuel could even get to the piston and into the cylinder. That's what I think, because it did that to us twice. That's the second time it's done that to us. And I even had Kevin go through the carburetor and make sure everything was right and this, that, and the other. But yeah, and we were just about to get an intercooler for it, and we're definitely going to run an intercooler for this. But I think if we'd have got that intercooler before racing it again, it'd still be in there. We won't miss the small block Chevy. I like the Gen 1, Gen 2 stuff. It's just cheaper, man, to get these out of the junkyard, go through them and put them in. It's just cheaper. They've already got racing heads on them. They come stock with racing heads on them. The heads on these things, they flow better than the aftermarket Pro Max heads Chris had on his car. That's crazy. But anyway, rambling. Y'all have a good day, and thanks for watching. And we got a Vortec Rebel ECM. Yeah, but hopefully this Vortec can give us more adjustability for what we're really trying to do with this car. Some no prep stuff and stuff like that. Been looking through it, and we're really excited. With this, we're going to try to get the flex fuel hooked up on it. We're going to try to get an air shifter hooked up with it, and we're going to try to do traction control with it as well. So that's going to be really cool.